Hi, and welcome to your Urban Connection, the channel that is often imitated but is never duplicated. And I want to tell you and remind you that this show will be, I think you'll find it to be very interesting. Uh, in this show, let me just say this. I want to dedicate this show to two people who I'm not fans of, but I want to dedicate it to them anyhow. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, and presidential candidate Nikki Haley, better known as Emirata, also from South Carolina. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the year 2024, as you all well know. And this show is going to deal with something that I never, ever thought that I would have to deal with. And this show is centered around one of America's best known female singers who's known all across the world and recognized as one of the best in the industry. And she goes by the name of Beyonce. Now, earlier this year, Beyonce did what some in the country music industry would call unthinkable. She recorded a couple of country music songs. Lo and behold, she had no idea that the country music industry, at least some in the industry, were not having any of that. Country music radio stations, some of them refused to play her music. Country music artists, some of the industry, told Beyonce, in so many words, to stay in her lane, thereby indicating that country music was not a part of her lane. Now, I just want to tell you, there is one artist, and he's also an actor by the name of John Schneider. And the headline of this story says, John Schneider tells Beyonce to stay out of country music. Are you kidding me? Now, he further goes on to say, comparing Beyonce to country music is like having a dog pee on your tree. Or maybe he might have said a tree, all right? But anyhow, how can you take this as anything except racist attitudes from members of the country music industry? And that includes radio stations, and that includes many artists in the industry who don't seem to remember Ray Charles singing country music, in some cases, before they were even born. They don't seem to remember Charlie Pride being at the top of the country musical charts in past years. They don't seem to remember Andrew Summer from Wichita and spending an awful lot of time in Nashville recording country music songs and being accepted. Now, I have to ask one question of those people who want Beyonce to stay in her lane. Where were you when Pat Boone did a reroute of Little Richard's hit song in the 50s called Tutti Frutti? Did anybody tell Pat Boone to stay in his lane? Did anybody tell Pat Boone to stay out of soul music, pop music? No. So how could this latest industry reaction to Beyonce singing country music songs be considered anything other than racist? Are you afraid of the competition, Mr. Schneider? Are you afraid that she might upset your apple cart, Mr. Schneider? Are you afraid that she might be one of the country's best country music artists, Mr. Schneider? If not, Mr. Schneider, what are you and the others afraid of? What is it that makes you think that you have an exclusive on recording country music? Tell me what it is, because I'm baffled. I cannot understand. I mean, it's not like that you invented country music 6 months ago or 6 years ago, because you didn't. It's not like Beyonce is the first African American to perform a country music song, or a couple of them, or an album, or whatever. So you've had plenty of time to get acclimated with the history of country music. And all you can see is color. That's all you can see. You don't give any respect to this woman who has been one of the most popular female artists in this country and around the world for the last 15 at least years, Mr. Schneider. Or have you been somewhere in a deep hole, out of your mind, unconscious? Or what is it, Mr. Schneider? I need you to tell me, and I need you to tell the rest of America and the rest of the world, what gives you the right to issue an ultimatum to Beyonce or any other African American, male or female, that wants to produce and sing and perform a country music song or two or three or four? What gives you that right, sir? Tell me. Have you ever considered that maybe there are fans, and apparently there are some, that appreciate hearing Beyonce perform country music? Now, how do I know there are some? Because I know at least one radio station received quite a backlash when they first refused to play Beyonce's country music songs. So, sir, you might be in a lane that you shouldn't be in. And I would suggest that if you're not comfortable having Beyonce in the country music lane, you know what you could do? You could always exit that lane yourself instead of telling her to stay out of that lane, to stay out of country music. That's not your place. You're overstepping your bounds. You don't have that right. You don't have that privilege. And you're showing a total, complete lack of respect. Your racism is showing, all because of the fact that you're afraid. You're afraid that Beyonce might take away from what you think you have to offer the country music industry. You're afraid of competition. And I don't think she's coming in to be competition with you. I think she's coming in to appeal to those people that appreciate good music, regardless as to where or who it's coming from. And apparently that's something that you don't have the ability to do. You only see people that look like you as being capable of producing good country music. Well, I want to tell you something, Mr. Schneider. I've not heard you sing or perform. I have heard Beyonce. And I would say this, without having heard you, without ever hearing you, I would just bet my last dollar that you can't hold a candle to the performance of Beyonce. And I think that there's very few people out there that have heard Beyonce and have heard you that would disagree with my assumption. So I just want to send this message to the entire country music industry. If you are not speaking up and standing up against this type of bigotry and racism in your industry, you are no better than Mr. John Schneider. Because if you don't condemn it, you condone it. And that's exactly what you're doing, because I have not heard anybody from the industry rebuff or rebuke Mr. Schneider. And I've not heard any of you say, this is not what we stand for. And his views does not represent how we feel or what we feel. And we don't agree with what Mr. Schneider has expressed. We welcome Beyonce and any other performer that wants to join our ranks. And until I hear you say that, country music industry, I'm going to believe that you are a part of the racism that is being shown by the country music radio stations that refuse to play this music, and by any country music artist that is willing to say to Beyonce, stay in your lane. Because as far as I'm concerned, she's completely in her lane when she sings any kind of music, whether that be classical, whether that be jazz, whether that be hip hop, whether or not that be soul, rhythm and blues, or country and western. You are showing your real colors. Mr. Schneider and the country music industry. I don't hear you telling Black folks not to buy country western music, but you're just willing to say, don't sing it. I'm sorry, fellas. It doesn't work that way. This is America, and this is 2024, not 1824, as you would like to believe. Okay? Take heed to what I'm saying, and especially you, Mr. John Schneider. All right, folks, that's my show. Thank you very much, and I hate that I have to come on and produce a video in 2024 denouncing country music, the industry, the radio stations, and the artists that share the views of Mr. Schneider. See you again next time. Thanks for watching.